Hello Internet, my name is the Golden Stalfos, and today we're going to talk about Paper Mario the Origami King, because it just came out, and it sucks. No shit, Sherlock. Ugh, ugh. Okay, so the reason I wanted to make this video, I originally wasn't going to, because I love Paper Mario for what it was, and I don't care about the new shit. Like, I don't waste my time talking about things that are obviously bad. I'll never write a review of Federation Force. I'll never put a deep dive in on sticker stars because there's no point. Everyone understands this is a complete betrayal of the franchise, and it's bad. Even if it wasn't a betrayal, it's poorly executed on every level, and it's just not worth anyone's time. So why talk about it? But I saw a Facebook post from Nintendo because I scroll through Facebook to look at memes because I'm a normie, but also because the Facebook feed is much better for memes. Like, if you go to Reddit to look at memes, you're just like this really disjointed forum where, like, you have to click on a picture to expand it to a point where you can read it, and it's just, ugh, like, not a good experience to quickly scroll through and see a bunch of things. Whereas if you look at memes on Facebook, you can just like scroll and things appear on your phone, and then you scroll and then things appear. But anyway, the official Nintendo account posted about Origami King, and it got put on my screen because I like Paper Mario and targeted advertising works very effectively. So I figured I'd read through some of the comments and see what people were thinking about it, because it looks different from Sticker Star, so it might be almost acceptable. But I just kind of assumed it wouldn't be, good, because, well, there hasn't been a good Paper Mario game in, what, 10 years now? Maybe more than that. When did Super Paper Mario come out? And really, Super Paper Mario wasn't a Paper Mario game. It was a good game. It was a good game, and I do appreciate its place in the world. But it should maybe have had a different title. um, so we could get a proper sequel, because, you know, we haven't, right? Um, it's so weird. But anyway, I saw the Facebook post and I figured I'd look at the comments just to see what people were saying about it, see if it does anything that's actually worth my time. Um, because Arlo doesn't have a video up about it yet, so this is the best I'm gonna get. And ooh, I saw a lot of people leaving comments that were pretty negative because, it's still shit. And and there was this one guy who is really just aggressively defending the game from anyone who had a negative criticism on it. I saw him pop up under like 3 different reply threads, and one of his comments was just so stupid. I had to take a screenshot and make a video and talk about it, because this is the kind of obscene toxicity that exists in the world, and it just shouldn't. Um, so this guy flat out says that if you're a true fan, you'll buy everything Nintendo makes and shut up about it and just like it no matter how bad it is. And if you ever complain at all, then you're horrible and can't be trusted, Francis. Yeah, cool. referencing Super Paper Mario makes you the smartest guy in the room, doesn't it? You fucking asshole. Um, oh my god. But, like, look, if you like the new style of Paper Mario, that's fine. You're allowed to like it. But you can't deny that it's completely fucking different from what the series started out as, and therefore, those of us who grew up with the series have a right to be pissed that we are no longer getting the thing we were originally getting. Just, fair. Like, that's fair, right? Like, you know. Like, you may like Federation Force for what it does, but you wouldn't expect any fan of Metroid to like it, right? Like, that's fair, right? I don't know anyone who likes Federation Force, and I hope I never have to deal with meeting someone who likes it, because I don't think I could be civil with a person like that. But you get my point. I mean, if Monster Hunter suddenly released a pinball themed game and it was a good pinball game, I wouldn't be excited about that. As a fan of Monster Hunter, I wouldn't just be like, "Ooh, cool. Rathalos pinball. That's the craziest, most fun thing I've ever heard of." I mean, that just sounds dumb and pointless. I mean, why would you even? And that's basically how I feel about the new Paper Mario games. Like, Color Splash is to Paper Mario what uh, what that pinball spin-off of Metroid is to Metroid, or the pinball spin-off of Sonic is to Sonic. A lot of games had pinball spin-offs, not sure why. I guess because it would be easy to make a pinball machine out of it, and those are actually popular in Japan. But they're not popular here, so it didn't make sense to me. But yeah, basically, even if you like New Paper Mario, you have to accept that it's very different, and some people won't like it because it is different. And also, some people won't like it just because it's not good. So, there's that. It's also worth noting that, the last two Paper Mario games have sold collectively worse than the one on the GameCube. Even though one of those games got 2 releases. So that's something to consider. But this idea that you're only a real fan if you buy everything without question. No, sorry, Francis. You're a dumbass. Simple fact is, you're a fan if you like the thing. That's the barrier to entry. That's what a fan is. This gatekeeper bullshit? Nah. I mean, first of all, most people who are fans can't afford to buy literally everything Nintendo makes. So, you're being elitist, at the very least. Even if someone wanted to buy all of it, there's a lot of people that couldn't. And second of all, blindly purchasing things you don't need or want or like doesn't make you better than other people. It makes you stupider than other people. I mean, that's just like the definition of gullible. Buying shit you don't need because it makes you like, ugh. I can't imagine a stupider way to live your life. But I don't want to pile on to this random person from Facebook. I'm gonna try and blur out his name and stuff. But I just want to point out that this kind of shit exists in the world, and it's unbelievably stupid. And, you know, if you like something, it's fine to say you like it. If you don't like something, it's fine to say you don't like it. But to go out of your way to viciously attack strangers on the internet because they don't like something you do like, it kind of points out your huge insecurities and the fact that you, like, lack any sense of what you're fighting over. Like, why do you give a shit if other people don't like the game that you do like? You know? And more importantly, why would you get all up in someone's business and try to say that they're not a true fan unless they blindly purchase everything? You know, like a robot or something. I mean, I literally can't think of anything so stupid that you would just arbitrarily buy every product you possibly could. Like, that's ridiculous. It's insane. It's asinine. It's unfeasible. You should only buy the things you care about and want. And you should only care about and want the things that are good. So you should have some way to tell whether something is good or bad. I mean, Jesus Christ, Francis, how much money do you have to throw away? Like, seriously, what is your deal? You are the weird creepo that Nintendo was writing about in that game. I hope you understand that. You have no self-awareness, and you try to insult other people by associating them with the thing that you like, but, like, that thing represents you. I hope you understand that. Oh, it's so ridiculous. But yeah, Origami King is shit. Kind of knew that going into it, honestly. Like, we kind of all figured that would be the case because, well, what else do you expect when they announce a game 2 months before it comes out with no hype and no marketing whatsoever? It's just like, this is the game, it'll be there. And I'm like, wow, I really see how confident you were in the project. You definitely believed in this enough to not publish it or advertise it at all. I'm so excited to see how much you've done with it. Oh, there's an enemy who's literally just tape, like a tape dispenser. Cool. That's literally the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I'm sorry. Um, like, it could be literally the best game ever, but if your boss is random office equipment for no reason, and you just, like, that's just so pathetic. It's so unbelievably pathetic and bad. I just have trouble believing that anyone actually looked at that and thought, yeah, that's a good idea for a boss. We'll just put a tape dispenser and not even, like, do anything interesting with it. It's not even a transformer or anything. It's just regular office equipment. Spoopy, terrifying, challenging. Jesus Christ. Where does this world come to? Like, even if you are leaning into the whole papercraft theme, you gotta at least obscure it by one level. You know, like, you don't go into Yoshi's Woolly World and then fight knitting needles, you know? Like, the bosses are crafted, but they're still bosses. I mean, one of the bosses in this game is a rubber band man, and like that's a real boss. That one works. But the one that's just tape or a box of pencils, like what? Why? Why are you so creatively bankrupt that you can't even try to phone it in? Like, this is worse than the bare minimum amount of effort I would expect from a boss fight. No joke, no exaggeration. This is less than the bare minimum. I can't even believe anyone would suggest something this pathetic and stupid as a boss fight. And that alone should disqualify the game from ever being played by anyone who cares about video games. But, uh, yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know what I'm going to use for footage on this. I might splice in some of the trailer. Probably I'll just put some footage of my recent playthrough of TTYD because I love myself and I play good games instead of mindlessly buying crap that I don't need or want and then trying to defend myself on the internet by saying I'm a real fan because I buy things I don't need or want. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. What is your complex? Is your life so empty and vapid that you have to defend your purchasing decisions to strangers who didn't ask about it? I mean, that is sad. That is sad as fuck. Me personally, I wouldn't have bought this game if it was free. So, I can understand, feeling like you got, ripped off and you need to defend yourself, but damn, that is some delusional bullshit right there. So yeah, Origami King exists. It's dumb. It's bad. It fulfills the joke we were all thinking for years. Like, oh, stickers, then coloring. What's next? Origami? Confetti? Fucking paper puppets? I mean, come on. What is this shit? Like, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with the game incorporating more, mechanics that have to do with its unique setting, right? Like the Thousand Year Door had a whole bunch of transformations where you can, turn sideways, turn into a paper tube, paper airplane, paper boat. Like, that was cool and it expanded the game and made it more fun and interesting. And like, it played with the paper aesthetic in a fun way that, made the game better. But then for some reason they were just like, nah, we don't want to make good games. We want to make trash and sell less than half of what we were selling before, and then make a sequel and sell even worse, and then make a third one. Why? Why did Color Splash... why did Sticker Star get 2 releases and 2 sequels? What the fuck is up with that? Who authorized that bullshit? Because it sure as fuck isn't the people buying these games. Because, like, literally hundreds of thousands of people who played the original Paper Mario games did not play these ones, did not buy them. And And many of the people who did play them left horrible reviews all over the place. Arlo's entire channel started because he shit on those games. And he's like one of the biggest Nintendo YouTubers at the moment. And like, you know, seriously? All this time, all of this energy that people have put into trying to tell you guys, hey, we like the old formula. Stop. Give us the thing that's actually good. You know? There are even very successful fan games that try to emulate the Paper Mario formula. The most famous one right now is Bug Fables, which I have a video about that'll probably come out at some point, but long story short, I don't think it lives up. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not the Thousand Year Door, and it's certainly not an improvement on the Thousand Year Door, which is, well, kind of what it would have to be in order to, be worth it, but yeah, it's still good, just not as good as it could be. And and that's even got a Switch release. So like Nintendo knows that there is demand for these games, that there's demand for them on their own platforms, and they just put out this inferior crap anyway. It's insane. It's insulting. It's ridiculous. Also, I've seen a bunch of memes lately about how there hasn't been a Nintendo Direct and everyone's asking for one, and I'm like, why do you give a shit? Why would you want a Direct? What do you expect to get out of a Direct? Exactly. What are we gonna get updates on Metroid Prime 4? I don't think so. Probably not. That game is still 2 years off. I'm willing to bet. I mean, if less, then thank God, but maybe even more than that. They went through 2 years of not usable development before Retro Studios had to come in. So, good luck with that. I mean, I want Metroid Prime 4, obviously, but it's not going to happen right now. And that's really the only project they've already announced that is worth looking forward to. I mean, there's a sequel to The Crap of the Wild, but I mean, come on. That game is the worst. I've got a whole series on that planned, but like, seriously, Breath of the Wild is hot dog shit. On every level. Poorly designed, poorly implemented. Just ridiculous. Also, those reviews, when the game first launched, the reviews were paid for, which I feel like wasn't really talked about enough. But if you go back and watch a bunch of those reviews, like all the ones that say product paid for by Nintendo, they all have the same script and a lot of the same footage. And they all like hit the same notes in the same order. And it's just like, cool. Glad to know you guys sold out on this one. Fun. And who knows? Maybe that'll happen with this. I kind of doubt it. I kind of doubt that they give a shit what the reviews are for Paper Mario because they know it's going to be bad because the last ones have been bad across the board. But over the last, 15 years since it came out, The Thousand Year Door has continued to gain more and more critical acclaim. And there's many video essays about how great a game it is. It's picked up a lot of popularity in the speedrunning community. Malio just did a task in under 2 hours, and it's insane. Like, I please go watch it. It's insane. It comes with full commentary and everything. Um, I mean, a lot of the tricks he uses are not RTA viable, but they're still like really impressive. Um, anyway, um, yeah, I just think it's ridiculous that people, you know, that Nintendo hasn't picked up on the fact that this game is now a classic, that has continued to gain support over the years, and that there's no reason to continue playing or producing the games that no one likes, you know? I mean, there are entire channels and entire communities devoted to Paper Mario. One of my favorite creators on YouTube, Strider7X, he makes glitch videos about Paper Mario 64 and occasionally TTYD, but mostly the 64 version. And that's his entire channel. That's all he does. And it's fascinating and beautiful. And he's got like, you know, multiple thousands of people watching him constantly. So I just looked up his YouTube channel, and he's got 265,000 subscribers and 355,000 views on his last video. Which, yeah. Yeah. So basically, you know, there's more than 250,000 people who just want to watch glitch videos about the original Paper Mario. And and that's just like one small portion of the people who are basically guaranteed to buy a game if you go back to formula. So yeah, I mean that's something. I just looked over. Arlo has 520,000 subscribers, so another 500,000 people. There's probably some overlap there, but my point is that like Paper Mario still has a thriving fan base, and they're like, you know, big enough to publish indie games and have channels that are devoted to talking about these games, and like, you know, why do we still get the shit that we don't want when we could easily be paying for shit that we do want? Is it because fanboys like Francis here are too afraid to admit that they're buying into shit, and so they just keep buying it anyway? Is that why? I don't understand it, you know? Because, like me, I'm not willing to pay for anything that I think is crap. Never have been, never will be. And I think most people are like that, you know? And I think realistically, when you think about it, uh, you know, they should be willing to put some effort in and make one of these games. And the thing is, these games don't require the hugest amount of effort. They're essentially RPGs with some light platforming elements. It's really easy to program something like that. Like, stupidly easy compared to most of the things they work on. And so it seems weird to me to think that they just aren't willing to put in the effort, because it would cost like a third as much, if that, compared to most of the games they normally make, and it would return pretty damn well. More than 1 million people, I think it was 1.5 million people, bought Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door for the GameCube. But you know, that was 15 years ago, before it had the huge critical success and fan backing that it has now. And, you know, you would easily sell double that amount now. And I know maybe that doesn't sound like a lot to Nintendo because some of their franchise sell way better than that, but like, you know, doubling your sales on TTYD would be 8 times the sales you made on Sticker Stars, and that got 2 fucking releases, so, you know, maybe it'd be fucking worth it. Yeah. Yeah. That's my 2 cents on the issue. I think Paper Mario should be, you know, what it used to be, what it was always meant to be. You know, because really, Paper Mario was meant to be a spiritual successor to, the fuck is it called? The Secret of the 7 Stars? Yeah, that's what it's called. Secret of the 7 Stars. Super Mario RPG, right? Which was made with Square Enix, and, well, actually, I think back then they were just Squaresoft, but it was Square and Nintendo working together to make an RPG that used some rudimentary pseudo 3D stuff on the SNES, and it was brilliant, and it sold really well, and everyone loved it, and it's still critically acclaimed to this day. And then they took that system and they expanded on it in a fully 3D game for the Nintendo 64. And then they took that system and they expanded on it in a much more polished 3D game on the GameCube. And then they abandoned that system and started making other random crap. And I don't know why. I honestly have no idea why. I mean, don't get me wrong, Super Paper Mario is a good game, and it has a reason to exist. I would totally, I would totally not begrudge a sequel to that. But, you know, but regular Paper Mario has a reason to exist too. And it should, you know? And I think the thing that Super proves is that you don't necessarily need all of the mechanical elements from those previous 3 titles to, have the same level of storytelling and finesse. But at the same time, like, you do need something to entertain you throughout the game when you're not in dialogue, and to make you come back to it, because the dialogue, isn't enough to keep you coming back. No one replays a game for its story because the story is tedious the second time through, not engaging. And quite frankly, Super Paper Mario doesn't have very compelling gameplay because it's just a standard platformer. And so, and it's not even that good of a platformer. So you don't feel like compelled to keep going and doing stuff. But the combat system in, those original Mario RPG titles were really fun and compelling and different, and, just like good. Like the level up system in the original Paper Mario titles is brilliant, and I can understand not wanting to build on the 1,000-Year Door because it's kind of daunting, because it kind of built on the groundwork from Paper Mario in 64 so well that you're just like, what do we do after this? I mean, it really was a perfect sequel because It expanded the combat system. It added the stage mechanic, the star power mechanic, the mechanic whereby you can put your partner in front of you and have them take damage. You're able to stack badges now. You're able to buy and sell badges more easily. There's a greater variety of items and badges and enemies. There's, huge challenge areas. There's boss fights. There's all kinds of extra stuff going on. Partners gain new abilities in a pretty organic way, and you can, and you can swap your partners and use your different abilities, and you can get new powers from using your badges and all that stuff, and everything is just built up so much bigger than it was before. And the star point system and the lottery wheel, and it's so good. It's so good. And even outside of combat, you have all of these new paper mechanics to let you interact with the world. You get a ground pound, which I think was in the first game. They do remove the spinning, which I kind of miss, honestly. The spin move was pretty cool in the N64 game, and it lets you move a lot faster. Movement in TTYD is just kind of slow, but anyway, they give your partners new ways to interact with the environment. They make your partners more different from each other, because realistically, in the N64 version, you had 3 different partners who had a hover ability of some sort, which is too many, and in this game, the closest you get is Yoshi's Flutter Jump, which is just enough with the way they've got the level design set up. And it just goes on. The writing is so much more solid. The situations are so much more unique. There's there's a mystery that unfolds during your wrestling era, and there's a mystery that unfolds while you're on the train, and so that's a little bit repetitive with the whole mystery thing. So there's also kind of a mystery when you go into Creepy Steeple, and you're trying to figure out what happened to your body and find Duplic's name and all that. And there's also kind of a mystery when you go into the island and you're looking for the spooky voice and trying to figure out what's going on. So they do kind of lean on the mystery thing a bit too much, but the settings are overall pretty unique. I think there's some flaws, right? There's some areas where the level design is just backtrack through the same areas 4 times because we didn't want to build this area out anymore, so we just make you backtrack. And that's the level up system shouldn't be capped. Quite frankly, your stats don't matter enough for after a certain point they just it wouldn't matter, but it would make you feel like you're still growing and whatnot. So putting a cap on it is weird. And of course, similar to that is the fact that after a certain point in the game, you earn 1 XP per battle instead of per enemy, which is insane. Because even if you are very high level, you can, end up in an encounter with 7 enemies who, some are in the air, some are on the ground, and you can't take them all out at once. So you have to, do a couple of different things and take a couple of different turns to get through them. And during those turns, they can inflict damage and cost you a lot of FP while you try to get rid of them as fast as possible. And it's just if I have to use up resources on it, I feel like I should get more than 1 star. And of course, there's no difficulty settings. The game is just, where it is. It's pretty easy once you get used to it. Although, admittedly, as a child, I did have several points where I was just like, nah, I spent my levels wrong. I can't beat the game anymore. Um, when I got up to a certain boss and just had no way to get through them. So it's not like the game is, unreasonably easy. It's just that the more you understand it, the easier it gets. And, you know. But basically, my point is just that I understand that TTYD is a hard act to follow because he does almost everything almost as well as could be done. But there are a couple of things it leaves out, a couple of things it could be improved on. And you could always come up with some more unique scenarios. Like even if you can't expand the combat system, just creating a few new badges and items and enemies and a new world for us to explore would probably be enough, even if the combat didn't improve from where it was. If the level design improved and the writing stayed at least as good as it was, we'd take that sequel. We would. Most definitely. Bug Fable has an inferior combat system and level design and writing, and it's not actually a sequel because it doesn't have all of the trappings of the Mario world. I still bought it and played it, and I can still easily see why most fans of the series would buy it and play it, because it is Paper Mario, basically. But man, just it always sucks when a series you love dies, but it sucks so much more when they resurrect the corpse and just parade it around and pour shit all over it and just ugh. And it sucks even more when you see brainless fanboys defending that and acting like you're an idiot for not going along with it. Like, I'm sorry, bro, but I know what I like and I know what I don't like. I don't like having a shit smeared corpse thrown in my face all the time. Sorry, not paying for it, Francis. But some people can't accept that. Some people can't accept the idea that their favorite company isn't the good guy all the time. But let me tell you, Nintendo can be a pile of dicks. Like, let's be honest. I love the games. I always have. But sometimes they're just, like, bad people doing bad things because it will make them money. Like, they were really horribly evil and dickish to YouTubers for a long time. And that's eased up a bit, but, their copyright law is just, their execution of copyright law is just insane. When a fan in his spare time for free built AM2R and made just like the perfect Metroid game, Nintendo hit them with a cease and desist and immediately snatched up a studio who didn't want to work on this project. They wanted to work on a remake of Fusion and said, hey, do Samus Returns or shut up and go away. And they just forced a company to do work they didn't want to do and make a shitty, inferior product because they weren't willing to recognize how much love and care the fans put into this franchise and the fact that a fan had made the perfect game. And they could have instead hired that fan and remade that fan game as a proper title for the Switch. If they had done that, I would have bought the Switch just so I could buy that game. But they didn't, because they're shitheads. Sometimes Nintendo are shitheads. And that's okay. We just have to understand that that's the case, you know? I mean, it may not be as obvious as some other big companies, like EA and Konami, but Nintendo are still shitheads. And the idea that you should mindlessly support them as they continue to be shitheads is insane. Absolutely insane. We should not do that. We should give our support to the projects we care about at the time that we care about them. And we should do the things that are good and important, and not pay attention to or support or do the things that suck and are bad. And New Paper Mario sucks and is bad, so we shouldn't support it. That's all there really is to it. Anyway, thank you all for watching, listening. I know this is meaningless to most of you, and quite frankly, no one is really here to hear some guy rap on a game he's never played and never will play because some other guy got pissy about it. But I do think it's important that we acknowledge that this level of fanboyism is unacceptable, and that when people do this kind of ridiculous shit, they set a bad example for all of us. They make us all look like Francis, because this is the kind of thing Francis would do. Mindlessly just throwing themselves at something, even though every indication has been given that they shouldn't be doing that. But oh well, that's life. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel about Paper Mario, whether or not it's your favorite game franchise. I wouldn't say necessarily favorite, but it's definitely very good. And I've definitely enjoyed it ever since my childhood. I actually played TTYD first, and going back to the original, I was stunned at how much they'd taken directly from the N64 version. And yeah. But at the same time, I can go back to T2YD much more easily than I can go back to the N64 version, because it just has so much more going on. And it's not just nostalgia, it's definitely got more going on. It is a true sequel. A sequel that expands and builds and makes new. I think there were some people who didn't like Super Paper Mario when it came out. I was not one of those people. I played it without even really thinking about how it may or may not connect to T2ID. And I just enjoyed it for what it was. And at the time, it's a very well written game with not a whole lot going on mechanically, but enough. Most of the time, enough. And so I wouldn't mind if there was another, Super Paper Mario 2 Return of Dark Luigi or whatever. But I would much prefer if there was, a true sequel to TTYD. Hopefully with a name that's easier to pronounce, because, that is a mouthful. But, yeah. Let me know in the comments how you feel, and I'll see you in the next life. Laters. Bye. Okay, end card time. I'm supposed to tell you to like, comment, subscribe, all that stupid YouTube shit. There's a bell thingy, whatever. I have all the social media stuff: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Mostly I use Facebook and Twitter to tell you about my Twitch and YouTube uploads. I've got a Patreon, but Patreon is one of those things where people who can afford to throw away money give money to people who can't. And so if you can't afford to throw away money, then you shouldn't be doing that. And if you can afford to throw away money, consider charities. There's a pandemic, there's global warming, there's millions of people in the world who don't have toilets, which is just awful. So I've linked a few charities in the description down below in case you're interested in that. And if you can't donate money to a charity, consider donating some of your time, because that's also very useful. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.